I mean, if you're focused on all of those things and not putting a toe out of line, that you've got to do everything right to be close to God, that becomes exhausting. It's like this, the Pharisees had all these rules and regulations that they had to follow, this low standard, and they said, okay, I can't make a mistake. I can't be ritually impure. I've got to tithe. I've got to keep doing everything right. And if I get something wrong, then I know that I'm not going to be close to God, so I just have to keep going. Don't give up. Keep going. I can't give up. I can't give up. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I can't. If you're trying to live like that, you're going to be exhausted. And when you make one mistake and you don't get it right, then guilt weighs you down. And not only are you exhausted, but then you're burdened by guilt. And for some people here listening, that's what following Jesus, that's what you thought it was. You just got to do the right thing over and over again, and you find yourself exhausted trying to keep up. For other people, you may go, yeah, that's why I quit a long time ago. Because I didn't want to run that race. I didn't want to be exhausted all the time trying to follow the rules. I didn't want to be weighed down by guilt. So I left Jesus. I left Christianity. If that's what it's about, I'm not about it. But I love that Jesus called a timeout on the Pharisees who were being so exhausted and placing their guilt, this framework of guilt, over God's grace. He calls a timeout on them. In Matthew 11:28, he's having a conversation with Jews and Pharisees, and he says this to people who were exhausted by following the rules. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." See, following Jesus is less about doing and more about being. He says, "Come to me, and I'll give you a laundry list of things you need to do." That's not what he said. He said, "Come to me and rest." That's what Jesus wants for you. He wants you to come and be with him. And then he says, "Take my yoke upon you, for it's easy and light." A yoke was something that farmers in that day would put over two oxen, and it would hook the oxen together so that they could pull the sledge, tilling the ground up behind them. And when they were yoked together, then they would pull equally so that the sled wouldn't steer one way or another if an oxen got off track. And their pulling together made it easier for each of them because their strength combined made the sledge pull well. And Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you." He says, "Hey, come and do life side by side with me. Come and be connected with me." And friends, if you're connected with Jesus, who's doing the heavy lifting? Jesus is. You know what? Sometimes he and his grace, his yoke is going to drag you along with him. When you're weak and you're tired and you don't have enough to keep going, you're connected to him. You're yoked to him, so he's going to keep you going by his grace. I can't earn it. I don't deserve it, just like Matthew, but it sure feels good to have the grace of Jesus in my life. It sure feels good to do the great exchange, my guilt for his grace. So my question for you is this: are you more aware of your guilt or his grace? In your life, are you more aware of your guilt or his grace? If you're a fan who follows the rules, you're probably going to be more aware of your guilt. But if you're following Jesus, you're going to be more aware of his incredible grace in your life, just like Matthew was.